What was the leakage you mentioned?
No leakage on the dam. The dam is holding quite well. It's no problem. They've got some additional capacity there. Everything's fine. They have increased the discharge. Some water is backing around to the powerhouse. Powerhouse is right below the dam, and some water is getting in that area and could do extensive and expensive damage to the powerhouse. But no, there's no safety problem as such as far as the dam. I asked that question because I was concerned about it. They're setting records, as you know. The discharge rate that they're having right now is 3 times their all-time high, and so this is very extensive. But they said the dam was holding up very well. They've been running some tests, and it looks good. The damage to the powerhouse would be very expensive. You know, if the water backs up and gets into those generators, they're moving some of the papers and records because they don't want to lose those. That would be very expensive as well.
What is FEMA's reaction to all this? What are you thinking from the federal government standpoint?
I'm with the National Flood Program, and we're very concerned right now about this evening. As the Senator indicated, the discharge is 300,000 cubic feet per second now. If that has to be increased later on this evening, we're not sure what the damage is going to do. So we're keeping an eye on that. We're surveying the situation, and hopefully by tomorrow we'll have a more accurate determination of what the damage will be.
Can you compare this situation in northeastern Oklahoma with any other disaster in your memory?
It's pretty hard. Each disaster.
Not the state of Oklahoma. Remember, we had a little spat of tornadoes where we had tornadoes hit about 4 communities in a couple of days. But this is going to do in total damage. My guess is that this will do much more extensive damage in total dollars, the number of homes, the number of families, number of farmers. If you look at that water that's going into Lake Keystone, it's very muddy. This is the time where a lot of our farmers plant their winter wheat. And so they've lost that crop, and they've lost all the work that they've put into their land. They're going to have to rework it completely. So this is going to be a real tragedy. So we've contacted USDA, and they have some assistance programs that will possibly help. We've also contacted the White House. I talked to them today. I talked to them yesterday, and they've assured me as soon as the governor makes the request for that disaster assistance that they'll act on it as quickly as possible. But I think, you know, as far as disasters for the state, this is, and you know, go look in Oklahoma City, the village, the tornadoes and everything. This is extremely extensive, damaging. It's been devastating to many, many areas in the state.
What kind of help can we look to from the federal government?
As I said before, I represent the National Flood Insurance Program, and we're surveying the situation now. We hope to get adjusters in here immediately to provide service for those that do have National Flood Insurance. And by tomorrow, we'll certainly have a better idea of what the damages are and how many people are involved.
Okay, thank you very much. And there you have it, a meeting between Senator Don Nickles and a representative from the National Flood Control Program. They will be sending in adjusters. And again, Senator Don Nickles is saying this is so extensive because it has affected so many communities. That's a word from here. Back to you.
Not a flood in progress.
Thank you very much, Kay. Thank you, Kay, for that report. And in addition, at the very beginning, of course, you heard Mike Baker of the Civil Defense, who has been sleepless for these many nights, say that they need help with the sandbagging. They need extra people. They need more people. Some of the people have just worked themselves to the bone, and they have got to have more help. Now, we are going to go live to some of our locations around the area. First of all, as you know, we are at 37th and South Peoria, and we're sandbagged and ready here, and we're going up on the roof where our tower cam is, along with Bill Shield. Bill?
Well, Jerry, up here the situation is similar to what it was earlier today. Once again, we're going to zoom down past me onto Peoria, and as you can see, the National Guard is still there. We are lighting part of the city tonight to bring this story to you in the dark. The National Guardsmen are continuing to make sure that nobody gets into the Brookside area who shouldn't be there. People who still might be moving out will be allowed in, but the National Guard will be there to guard against any vandals or people that want to come down and sightsee and may put themselves in jeopardy. As the last remnants of the day's lights just about leave us, we're going to go up to our tower cam 200 feet above me for a moment, and we're going to see a view up there. As you can see, you could barely make out in the middle there the Arkansas River. Now we're going to zoom in for you just for a moment, and what you see moving in the middle there is Riverside Drive, and it's barely moving because of the fact that the water is almost up to where you see that light right in the middle. That light is on Riverside Drive, and the water is just about up there at this time. We'll bring it back up here now, or I should say down here. We're about 200 feet beneath that camera. And once again, here on Peoria, we don't have any water yet. The water is still about a mile to our west. But as it gets, that flood stage continues to crest towards 10:30 or midnight, they're now telling us is the heaviest time. We may see some more water up here, and we will attempt to be able to bring you exactly where that water is if and when it arrives, and we certainly hope it does not. And Jerry, the effort today of everybody to work together continues down on Brookside. It is a time when people are at their best, when times are at their worst. And now we will take you back downstairs to Jerry, and we will stay up here and have reports for you as we can bring them to you. Jerry?
Thank you very much, Bill. We are going to take you now more near the water. We're going down to Riverside Drive itself, where NewsCenter 2's Pete Knutson has spent the day. Pete, can you hear me?
Yes, I sure can, Jerry. Jerry, city officials are still telling us that the river is still rising at the rate of about 1 foot per hour. That much hasn't changed throughout the day. One thing that has changed is the amount of volunteers that are here. Volunteers have been coming in all along Riverside Drive. They're building this barricade of sandbags to try to keep the water from Riverside, from the river there to Riverside, which is just to my left right here. But they're running into a problem. They're running out of sand, running out of bags, and they could use more help. They're desperately asking people if they can come out to help, to come on down here and help them build this barricade to try to keep the water out of the neighborhoods. Right now, 3 areas along Riverside are underwater. The first one is 12th and Riverside. That became underwater about at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Also at 35th and Riverside, and the deepest spot right now is at about 25th and Riverside. Whereas we were back there just a few minutes ago, it was about waist deep for some of the people that were walking through there. Right now, residential streets that are affected are 26th Street, 34th Street, and 35th Street. Those streets going up about 2 or 3 blocks from Riverside are affected. So we'll be staying by to check the level of the river, and we'll get back to you when it becomes necessary.
Okay, Pete, tell me one more time. What did you say? How much of a rise per hour?
They're still saying it's about 1 foot per hour.
Okay. Thank you very much, and we will get back to you. And we will say to you again, who are looking in, that the water coming out of Keystone Dam continues to be at the rate of 300,000 cubic feet per second. That is the highest rate so far. We do not know if they will have to release a larger volume. They will make that decision later if it has to be made. But already flood damage along the edges of the Arkansas River as it continues its way down toward Muskogee. Let me, before we leave, make one announcement for some people in the Bixby area. If you watch your television set on Bixby Cable, they are going to have to turn their system off. The people at Bixby Cable, officials there, they just don't know how much longer they're going to be able to maintain. They're going to have to get out of there. So we make a note. If you are watching us on the Bixby Cable, what you're going to have to do is turn your channel to 2 and disconnect it from the cable system if you want to continue to watch the coverage of the events along the Arkansas River here tonight. We will be back with any details that you need to know as soon as possible. As for now, I'm Jerry Weber, NewsCenter 2.
This has been a NewsCenter 2 special report.
Per second. We are going to the river live now, where NewsCenter 2's Pete Knutson is standing by. Pete, go right ahead.
Jerry, this danger sign behind me probably has never been more true than it has tonight. The high rising water, the swift currents, and all of it moving inch by inch closer, just inch by inch, minute by minute, closer to these houses at Riverside. Of course, so far there are only, as we've said earlier, only 3 places where Riverside is submerged by water right now. Those places are at 12th and Riverside, 25th and Riverside, and 35th and Riverside. The deepest plot right now, as we've been told by city officials, is at 25th and Riverside, where it's over waist deep right now. Now, so far there have been 3 residential streets that have water on them. Those streets are 26th Street, 34th Street, and 35th Street. The water is going up about 2 to 3 to 4 blocks off of Riverside up those residential streets right at this point. So far, though, no homes have been affected by the water, and city officials are saying, there's just no way to tell when any houses could be affected. They say the worst part, though, could come around midnight or so tonight. Jerry?
Yeah, and Pete, that's assuming that the flow rate isn't upped between now and then. Of course, that would take a while longer to reach also.
Right.
People still holding together down there, I hope? Yeah,
as we said just about a half hour ago on the live shot here, the volunteers have been coming from all over the place to try to help. They're trying to build a barricade of sand of sandbags in between the river and in between Riverside Street, so the water doesn't even get out into the street. But they've been running out of bags, they've been running out of sand, and they could use more volunteer manpower to try to keep all this water from coming into the neighborhoods.
Pete, thank you very much for that report, and we will tell you that we will continue to advise you on any further details. And of course, we will have extended coverage of the flood of '86 coming up on the nightcast at 10 o'clock on NewsCenter 2. I'm Jerry Weber.
This has been a NewsCenter 2 special report.
Last live report with him about 30 minutes ago. He has had to move out of there. On the move, he has told us that they need more volunteers at 26th and Boston. More volunteers needed at 26th and Boston. We also need to pass this along so parents will not worry. The Tulsa Boys Home at 137 West Avenue and Highway 51 has been evacuated, of course, because of the rising waters. But parents, be assured that all the boys are safe and accounted for and have been placed in private homes at this area. One more note about Bartlesville. Of course, they continue to be rooftop high with water up there. The Caney is expected to crest this weekend at 27 or 28 feet. Flood stage is 11 feet. That gives you an idea of the suffering up in the Bartlesville area. Now, let's go to the Weather Center and our chief meteorologist, Gary Shore. Gary?
Jerry, we have some good news, and that's for sure. The inflow coming down the Arkansas River past Ralston and also coming down the Cimarron past Perkins is now showing a definite decrease before the earlier, lower than the earlier crest that had been feared. They were afraid of as much as 400,000 cubic feet per second. It now looks like it's down in the 300,000 range, and that probably means they're going to be able to hold the outflow at 300,000 through tonight. They may even be able to start to drop it some as early as tomorrow. The details are still sketchy, but at least we know for sure the inflow is lower, and that is a good sign, and hopefully that means they'll be able to hold it at 300, and that is very good news, Jerry.
Oh, thank the good Lord if that works out that way. Gary, listen, let me mention for the people in West Tulsa, they are suffering. Of course, you are seeing far fewer live shots from over there, but believe me, the people in West Tulsa on the river are suffering just like the people on this side. It's very difficult to get equipment into that area, but we are aware of their plight. We will tell you of all ways that you can help as soon as we can find out different ways to help the people on the west side. Of course, there is suffering all the way down the river. Jenks, Bix,